Today we got another review and guide for Star Wars Age of Rebellion Talent Tree. This time it is the Ace Careers Gunner specialization from the Age Core book. In case that wasn't obvious, it's the Age Core book. So, the Gunner. The Gunner is a bit of a departure from what the career does. I mean, it's sort of the piloting career, and this one, I mean, it's vehicle related, but it's mostly a combat tree who just so happens to specialize more so in vehicle combat than regular combat, although they're also pretty good at regular combat, just on the ground stuff, which is nice. Anyway, pretty simple, pretty straightforward, a lot of defense that is both passive and impressive, and a little bit of ground offense, but it's so good that you don't care, and quite a few bits of vehicle shooty stuff. A nice variety so that when it does happen, it's not just a nice diversion, oh, now I'm shooting from a ship instead of from the ground, so it's slightly different, I guess. You get all these other goodies to play with eventually, so that probably makes it more interesting. So, let's get into the nitty-gritty of it. Defense. We have a wide variety of defense covered and quite a bit of each. And typically, when you have defense, if you do have any decent amount of it, they kind of like specialize. Like, let's focus on wound threshold. In this tree, we'll focus more on status effects or something. This has a pretty nice even spread, although actually not really much on status effects. They don't have all the things, but they have a lot of most of the things. So, first of all, we have a decent average amount of toughened. No real grit, right? A little bit of grit. It's okay. We also have help with critical injury mitigation. 2 ranks of 1 talent, which will just mitigate critical injuries in general, the severity of them. And then we have another one, which has a bit of a high cost, but you can ignore effects of certain types of critical injuries. You know, you're very physically hardy, so that helps you in that regard. Here's the big thing. We get Enduring, which is a +1 to soak. That is a huge talent, pretty rare, not easy to find, and when you do, it's so awesome. It's just so good. Every hit, you're guaranteed reducing a little bit, unless they have, like, Pierce or something, but still, even if they have, like, Pierce, however many ranks of Pierce, depends on how many ranks of Soak they bypass. The more Soak you have, the better. It's good to have more Soak. It's great to have 1 rank of Enduring. It's amazing. Wonderful to find. They get 2 ranks of Enduring, plus 2 Soak in their tree. That is absolutely insane. And it's going to be very tempting to pair this with, like, a droid or a hut, whatever other species that's out there that gets a +1 to soak because of the Enduring talent. That's insane. So, right, that's all the defenses for the well, it's kind of all the defenses. We have another talent, a couple ranks of a talent, which could be offensive, could be defensive, could be offensive for the first half of the campaign, and then you make a little change, and then it's defensive. Jury-rigged. Choose a piece of gear you have, a weapon, armor, or actual gear, like the tools and other stuff, whatever else you got, and then you add an improvement. And of course, in the section, they have a list of what improvements are. Can help weapons and armor in a couple different ways. Other stuff, just mostly with encumbrance. So, I guess it could help weapons and armor with encumbrance, right? Too, maybe? Or maybe, I don't know. You can read. You'll read the thing. The point is, most people are going to go offensive or defensive, and it's kind of cool to have that flexibility. Depending on how you build your character and what path down the tree, you might decide, oh, I'm going to make those purely offensive because I'm going down the way of the defense. Actually, they're kind of on the way more of the defense side of the tree, so I think most people, they might just try to make their weapon better with jury-rigged, because if they're in that area, odds are they're focused mostly on the defense, so they don't really need any more defense. They don't need to, although it would literally be defense, so it would be another thing that you don't get help with from your tree. You're going to be even better. You can modify, jury-rig your armor to have another type of defense and be even more defensive if that's the way you want to go, which is fantastic. So yes, all of these things, very, very good. Also, kind of thematically, it helps bring to life someone who has a little bit of a technical focus, which, when you combine it with, well, the fact that they have special training with big guns, gunnery weapons, and weapons in general, we also have career skill because you're an ace. You have career skills in astrogation and mechanics. So, we'll get to builds in a minute, but having a decent intellect mixed with that, you can I don't know, maybe you have a little bit of a techie side to your character, part of your backstory or whatever. Who knows? We'll get into that in a minute. We also have some other kind of utility stuff. Brace will help you with dealing with environmental effects, but only a very specific kind of environmental effects, which, I mean, it makes sense thematically. It's one area where I wish they wouldn't be so really trying to make it make sense thematically and just make it broader so that it's more useful, because it's really not useful. Any environmental effect that deals with like shaking, where physically bracing yourself would reasonably help you for the most part. That's really, I don't think it really comes up that often. I don't think it's worth taking for the most part. I wish it was a bit broader, but had a higher cost. Maybe once per encounter, or once per session, or spend a destiny point, but there's no limit on the type of check it can help you with. Maybe it's more of a mental focus kind of thing. I would much prefer that, or something more in that kind of idea. I'm not a fan of Brace as it is, but overall, it's a pretty good tree, so I don't care. And then we have Spare Clip. It's going to help you deal with ammo issues, which I know some GMs just kind of forget about. You can do that. You can make it so, you run out of ammo and you need to, at the end of combat, it automatically fixes itself. Unless you have an ammo pack, then in combat you can reload it or something, or it's like clearing a malfunction. Don't think too hard about it and how blasters work. It's just a mechanic to shake things up a bit. And you have a way of ignoring that shaking up a bit thing. Offense. Let's talk about the offense. So, it is vastly far more focused on the vehicle combat, being in a vehicle, using a vehicle weapon specifically against other vehicles. I mean, some of them, they don't really specify vehicles, but you're pretty much against other vehicles. Although if you're using vehicle weapons against personnel, you don't really need any more help, right? You probably don't need any more help. Anyway, vehicle combat. So, 3 different ones. One of them deals with, actually 2 of them are kind of paired together. One of them, if you fail, a good thing can happen, and the other one, if you succeed, a good thing can happen. So either way, if I shoot a vehicle weapon at a vehicle and I fail, well, I can use that to overwhelm their defenses and make it easier for the next person to shoot. Because odds are, you got like a little squadron or a group ship kind of thing going on. You're in one turret or the cockpit firing the main weapon, someone else is in another turret or whatever else. You can help them fire a bit better. Odds are they're going to be worse at the shooting, especially with gunnery weapons, than you are, so that's nice. But if you succeed, well, then you can debuff the ship in a certain specific way, or whatever vehicle you're shooting at. So either way, you have some other cool thing to do, hit or miss, and you get a rank of these really early on. So that's one thing I don't put enough emphasis on, or maybe we just don't run into a situation where a tree really is built this way, where it really feels like you can hit the ground running in your role. You have some cool, unique, interesting things that are related to your role. Not necessarily too powerful. You want to feel like you've kind of built up to some really cool stuff, but you feel like you're your role, and the difference between you and someone else is not just what equipment you have, or maybe a single skill rank or whatever. Something really unique that makes you stand out, and to get both of these really early, that's awesome. And there's a couple ranks of each of those. Also, we have a vehicle talent, which I love it because it's so thematic. It's just so Star Warsy. Exhaust port. As you might imagine, it's referencing the X-Wing to Death Star. It's a giant killer talent, basically. There's a certain type of extra-large vehicle with a certain quality that you can help deal with that and make it. You can make them more vulnerable to you. So that's kind of awesome. A nice variety of things. You start really early, doing combat in a special way, and you hit or miss. Rarely will you feel like I wasted these points on this stuff. Assuming the GM has peppered vehicle opportunities throughout your campaign, either on your spaceship or, here's a hovercraft next to the base, use that to escape or plan an ambush or whatever. A specialist that feels like it might be actually worth specializing in, especially because you can also do the general aspect of that regular combat. We have some really great help with regular combat, with arguably one of my favorite combat talents in the game. It's either this or deadly accuracy, I think. True aim. So true aim basically gives you the true aim maneuver, which is aim but on steroids. You get the benefit of aim normally, and also another even better benefit piled on top of it. And you have another maneuver. If you strain yourself, you can do that second maneuver, and you can just do a regular aim if you want. So true aim and aim if you strain yourself. That's a huge, huge benefit. That's insane. And you can get it really early too, which is great. Okay, so we should start talking about builds, because we're going to talk about like order and how you go down the tree and all that, and what to put emphasis on. So, because you can get true aim so early and it's so strong, one thing you could do, you could go that route of like a 3 in agility that's only pretty decent. Make sure you get the free ranks and whatever weapon you're using as your main ground weapon, and then just make a beeline for that, and then just focus on defense the rest of the time, if you want. At that point, you already also, at least potentially, can very easily have the other ship specialized stuff. Like, that's another thing, like, you can get everything and feel like you're really dipping into each role really quickly and in a really effective way. Like, you don't have to make your way down one tree. I'm going to focus on this aspect of the character for a really long time to get the really good stuff. Then I'll maybe focus on this aspect of the character. You can evenly just sort of make your way down slowly, tier by tier, and really feel like your role from the beginning, and then you're just better at your role across the board. Or you could put emphasis with your characteristics in a different area, and then just focus on the other area. But anyway, as far as just build goes in general, brawn and agility obviously are going to be the most important stuff. Like, you don't roll any other checks. You shoot people in different places. That's it. There's nothing else for you to do. And so yeah, it's going to be tempting to just do a 4-4 build, which of course I love in brawn and agility. But also, if you want to add some more flavor to your character, like I alluded to earlier, a 3 in intellect, you can be like the person who's like someone who worked every single job in a restaurant. They've been a busboy and I don't know, whatever jobs there are in restaurants. You can be like that for a spaceship, though. You can be sort of a little bit of a techie. Okay, you can do navigation. You can do some techie stuff. You're the muscle. You're also the turret gunner. Maybe that fits your character. You're second mate or second in command of another player character, and the group ship is your guys' ship, and you just picked up a charter, and that's the other players of the group or whatever. I don't know. Maybe it fits your story, and so I like a 3 in intellect. If you want to go really weird, a 4 in intellect, depending on if you have any intellect-based techies or whatever else in your group. Maybe you don't. Maybe you really don't. And that 4 in intellect, get a free rank in astrogation and mechanics. There's some techie... Oh, jury-rigged is like techie-themed. It's not really techie stuff, but techie-adjacent, thematically speaking. But yeah, you can have a smart person who's also pretty decent with a blaster, or I like the more all-around approach. Really, probably the more efficient, the more responsible build, let's put it that way. A 4 in agility, that's mostly what you do is damage, that's what you're expected to do, and you get so much raw help with defense that if you are going to put brawn or agility above the other, put agility above brawn, absolutely, especially in the long run. You really don't need any more than a 3 in brawn, and that's about it. Yeah, if you do a 4-3-3 intellect, maybe, because what else do you really get help with? It's mostly agility stuff, brawn stuff. I don't know, maybe initiative. Will is good in general, especially for combat. Whatever you want, it's going to be pretty hard to screw up this character. But if you do go a 3 in agility, definitely try and get true aim as soon as possible. Just make a beeline right for it, and then whatever else, who cares? It doesn't really matter. Anyway, gunner, it's a very good tree. If I'm going to be shooting people with a big old gun, and that's my main thing, and also maybe I want to shoot people in a special way, get my time to shine in my own special little way, which is a big part of what these games are about. I can be vehicle combat man as well. Wait, is there a vehicle? Does it have weapons? How many weapons? 2 weapons? Someone else can be on the weapon, and I can be on this weapon, and I can use my weapon to help their weapon? That's awesome! My time to shine! You know, those moments are fun, and yeah, it's also just really simple and easy. Who doesn't love a good half dozen or so just buy and forget passive defenses? Those are great. Add the numbers on your sheet. Forget about it. Alright, that is it for today. If you like this video and want to see more, well, you can support this channel by visiting my Teespring store and buying some merch. I believe currently... Although, wait, I have no idea when you're seeing this video. There might be a coupon code or something. Check the community tab on my YouTube to see if there's a coupon code. I've been getting a couple of them lately. I don't know. But there's shirts, there's mugs. If there's a design you like that there's not a thing for it, just let me know. And someone already asked for a hoodie for this, and so I gotta get on that at some point if I haven't already. All right, bye.